Hello, hello, OSL. It is the final day of the second last week. Yes, week 8, and boy, oh boy, do we have a stacked night for you, in store for you. Kicking things off, we do have SAF vs Kratos at 7 p.m. AEDT. It's going to be set 1, Mastermind on Cold Tower 1, set 2, Nightmare on Dead Dog Saloon, and a tiebreaker of Plague on Suffocation Pit 1, followed by Nameless King vs Diamond Dogs at 8:30 AEDT. It will be set 1, Unknown on Wrecker's Yard, set 2, Mastermind on Cold Tower 1, so another Mastermind set, and a tiebreaker of Lich on Dead Dog Saloon. Then finally, at 10 p.m. AEDT, we have Chinese Dragons vs Oppenheimer, set 1, Blight on Suffocation Pit 1, set 2, Nightmare on Dead Dog Saloon, and a tiebreaker of Demogorgon on the Wrecker's Yard. Lil Chief, the GOAT himself, what's happening? How are we? What are we most excited for?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am joining Hunter tonight. I'm glad to be back on the casting desk after a little bit of a week off, and we do indeed have an incredible match for me to come back to. Spacey, once again, on his iconic Mastermind, and honestly, Hunter, I am really looking forward to this match the most out of all the nights. Am I a little biased? I do think so. I am growing to love this team. I love seeing this man on this killer, and you know, they said they were going to try and pick it every week, and we've seen it, I think, 6 times out of the possible 8 so far. Exactly what they said they would do, and you love to see it, Hunter.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Spacey has just really climbed through the ranks throughout this entire tournament, just really put on absolute performance after performance. We are going to be taking ground here over at the midsection of the map after dropping 2 chases, so our survivors playing very cautiously, very preemptively to get off those generators too, as we do follow the scratch marks here leading all the way over in 6, where the uncorrupted zone is. So, you know, we might be, this is a little bit troublesome. We might be interrupting all the generator progress if we're not careful, and Spacey pulling up power there, wins the mind game as Pepsi has vaulted into his loving embrace. This is going to force a pre-drop onto the Shack pallet and probably just a run straight down to 5 and 4. Now, does he opt to commit this? He definitely can. And where has he gone? He is following up with the consecutive dashes following into this pallet gym here over at 5, pre-dropping that instantly, now playing the short side. But we've won the 50 there on the side of Peps as we do take the break there on the side of Spacey. There is hits coming in so we can make the top side of the map here. Nice little bit of jiggy work there happening from Peps here, and we have ran into the active though, so mighty unfortunate stuff, but we are going to be using this pallet to the best of our ability as we do take a tag from Daoho, who is just forced all the way back to the bottom side of the map. Again, chase happening in the uncorrupted zone. As we do follow up here, this might be a quick down, and 3, 2, 1, that is exactly what happens. I don't think we get a pain raise just before that generator in the background pops. Maybe we do if somebody hops on it just last minute. Yeah, unfortunately, not enough time there. But we do manage to get some regression on one of the generators just nearby. Wait, that was the generator just in front of our face, and we take a pre-drop here on the side of Cole, who is running around running around this pallet, faking the vault there very nicely, winning that 50, wins another 52. Very nice work. Now can break away all the way down to 2, all the way to top, and look at these generators here. This is a tight 3 gen that you want to keep your eyes on, maybe a little bit later on in the game. So Spacey choosing not to really overcommit that chase, wants to kind of protect his hook at the same time, and no sneaking now kind of follow up with the chase. Tries to eat the pallet and get the swing via the ping. Does not happen. These survivors are on 150 to 160 MS as it currently stands. That is going to be another 51 where we are just currently vaulting into Spacey, playing those mind games. He's playing absolutely incredible around those windows, and this is going to force a trade here. This is another pain resistant stack if we opt to take it, and I think we are, Chief, as we do settle into the game just a little bit on the side of Spacey. The survivors still have a lot of good progression on the map, though.
Yeah, they really do, Hunter. I wanted to point out, we talked about that top 3 gen, but before we lost that gen at 3, we did kind of had a 5 gen. We had that top mid on logs, mid 8-ish. Still kind of top side of the map. We had that gen in the 3 tile, and of course, your classic 11 main and 1 3 gen that you see on, nearly called this map Suffocation Pit, on Cold Tower all the time. Obviously, for Spacey, that's quite good. Although main is a really strong resource for you to take your chases around like we are seeing right now. Daihao does get the vault back to deny the vault. That's going to give him max distance around main once more to make the window with no bounds up. Beautiful gameplay from Daihao. Incredible stuff, and that does allow that gen at 8 to pop. But yeah, like I was saying, that 5 gen is a kind of really good spot for you to start off if you can get a quick down top side, especially if you can see that pain race hook we just passed on 12, get that hook and defend that, because you can't really do much when you have someone hooked there, and these gens are so deep on the top side. Unfortunately for Spacey, we did not get a hook there, and we did end up losing our mid gens, which made our gen spread so tight top side. And now he's in a bit of a weird position. Obviously, we did just see him playing around main for a fair bit. He wasn't able to get the down. We saw Chuck come in for a protection hit. He's now having to play for his life at 11, and Spacey actually wants none of it. He wants to find Daihao yet again, who is sent his way to bottom. This is where you kind of need him, but Spacey isn't allowing it just yet. We're going to be stuck on this mid filler unless we jiggy away, and we've done exactly that. We've given ourselves access to this eye loop, but Spacey will not be allowing us to have it for very long. It's been broken, and Pepsi now is trying to play Protect the Present with Daihao, making sure he can make it as deep top, apparently. I guess we're working the bottom gens. Not too worried about this 3-gen just yet, which is honestly not too bad of a position to be in Hunter, but I will say, I think Chuck did end up sitting 11, and if Daihao does go down here, he can be hooked right on top of that gen.
Yeah, either on top of the gen or behind main, take your pick. Either one's not very great. I mean, it's going to be extremely hard for him now to get out of this generator scenario. We do interrupt 11 as well, taking the break onto the only resource in this vicinity. I don't know if there's one here. Yeah, there is still this like really weird pallet. No longer, as I say that, we've dropped it and we've gotten no value whatsoever. We've been refunded. So, you know, you hate to see it if you're on the side of our survivors, but we are going to be taking the kick here via the eruption onto this generator here over at 11. Now taking ground back to main as well. Yeah, this is pretty nasty at the moment. So, you know, Spacey getting that down over the backside of main. It was looking a little bit dicey as that chase was lasting a little bit too long as we would have liked just moments ago onto Daihao, sorry. But, yeah, ultimately just going down and... all in all, it didn't matter too much in the end because it was around generators that, you know, needed to be worked. And as you saw, S11 was interrupted. And we do catch out the reset here. Cold now in chase. There's another potential tunnel out at this point in time. Now, we probably want to go back to that hook there over at the top side of the map, as you can anticipate. The unhook happening just now. We really need Daihao dead. Yeah, the leader needs to be out of the game as quickly as possible. And Spacey just trying to see the rotation. Does manage to spot out 2 survivors rotating around that 10 side here, trying to cut them off. But where did the injured one go? We have caught glimpse of them here over at the backside of 12, and now trying to play with the guest spots here, and they're working to our favor. The heartbeat reading, and we've... Wait, hang on, we're getting a little bit lost. Where did the killer go? And we've just been caught. Oh, no, that's unfortunate here. We're trying to take the bodies, trying to preserve the tunnel out, but it's not going to be working. And unfortunately, this will be one survivor out of the game. This is kind of pushing the results towards that 4K1 at the moment. We do have that gen over at that deep 6 tile that we could just be working and trying to get out of our way just to solidify that 4K1 instead of trying to make sure this 3-gen at the top side gets broken. But yeah, this infamous Cold Tower 3-gen is just going to prove to be pretty difficult if we can't get our chasers on point. And as we take chase here over at 9, it's this Chuck who is currently injured. Doesn't have a lot to work with after this tile. The zone break coming in, and we're forced all the way into deep 10 here. Now pulling up power on the side of Spacey, playing around that mind games very nicely here. No egg, so add-ons being brought are the Jeweled Beetle and the gloves, but it doesn't really matter too much in that instance, as we didn't really need to hold up power too long there. But we are going to be taking this down onto Chuck here over at corner 10, and like I said before, that 6-gen is going to be popping, so that's the 4K1. Okay, at the very worst, this is the result. But I mean, wait, do we interrupt? No, we don't. Okay, I was getting a little bit worried there. I was like, why isn't that gen popping? I feel like it should have popped by now, but we do take a pain resonance hook here that is going to slow 1 down. So you need to be off that generator just maybe, I want to say roughly around 5 to 10 seconds ago, and we need to be hauling us all the way down to the bottom side. You know, Spacey's kind of picked up on that, but again, we see crows here. So yeah, it just leads to believe that our survivor has not left this area, and we do take a nice tag onto Pepsi. That can prove to be detrimental a little bit later on, because that's, you know, everybody in the trial is currently injured, and how do you work just such a mean topside gen when you're all injured? Where's the time to reset? You just kind of have to play aggressive whilst injured. And as we do commit the chase here onto Cold, we are trying to get that protection hit coming in from Chuck, but he's on limited time here. He only has about 3 seconds left and can get grabbed off the pallet if we're not careful here. He's opted to break away, as you know, that is in his best interest at the moment. We're going for the slug onto Cold here, back the chase onto Chuck here, who is just vaulted this Z wall back into Spacey. Spacey's just capitalizing on every single mistake here, and unfortunately, Pepsi, not really many places to go at the moment, is kind of caught here over at 2 once more. He's just trying to stealth out Spacey's rotation. Problems here, Chief. You know, we kind of saw it coming a little bit longer ago.
Yeah, I need to point out, obviously, I don't think we put enough emphasis on how important it was Spacey finding that reset at 5. That did single-handedly turn the game and put him in the position where he was able to 4K, especially because he was able to get a tag very quickly and force the unhook from an injured survivor. Obviously, it was Chuck, our Bill player, who ended up getting the unhook onto Daihao all the way back 12. And if either of them were down at that point, one of them was a fresh hook pain res, and the other is obviously your tunnel out. So it's a very good situation to be in when they're kind of stuck. And, they were so stuck, and our survivors of Kratos were so worried about that down coming through that they sent a third survivor to back main 12. It was Pepsi. He obviously didn't end up doing much as the Bound was able to connect with Daihao and eliminate him from the game with 2 gens remaining, but it was absolutely massive. Obviously, the other turning point, like you mentioned there, was when we were able to spot Pepsi at 2 as he vaulted into us. Giving that tag away sort of forced the exact same scenario out again, and yeah, it's basically what single-handedly allows this 4K1 to happen, is if we were able to slow that hook down a bit and not have that reset get found in the 4v1, or the same situation if Pepsi wasn't going to get found at 1 or 2 after Spacey had left 11, the game was recoverable. It was still outable. Obviously, this regen is very difficult to break, and the resources that we have in our tiles 10 and 2 are depleting. We've gotten rid of those pallets, and 1 and 11 were already bone dry. Main still has both its doors, though, so it's a little bit more safe. I do say that as we spot that one of the doors is broken. Unlucky. But at the end of the day, that is kind of how a 3-gen top, when you have a lot of gens top and the chases are there as well, sort of end up happening. When you run out of resources, they become very, very difficult to hold. And now, this is the fruits of the labor that Spacey has put in. And once more, look at this. He's rotated bottom with a heads-up play, and he's found the reset hunter. Chuck's going to die on hook. It's forcing the 2v1. Cold hasn't been spotted just yet, but we found Pepsi. It's all up to him now to last in this chase and get a 4K0 somehow. But Hunter, I don't think that's going to happen. We've left Pepsi. We've found Cold all the way through, and I'm going to leave it to you to cast our final couple chases of the game.
Yeah, that's Chuck out of the game. Unfortunately, finding that reset absolutely crucial. And you knew it was the bottom side. Where else would it be? Everywhere else on the map is just kind of unsafe at this point. It's the only safest location. But where do you run to when you've been caught here? Spacey's done really well to pick up on that. And now that's going to be the quick M1 down onto Cold. We're just going to be slugging that and trying to find Pepsi. We know he's around that 7 tile here somewhere. Actually, no, he's rotated all the way down to 11 and been working on the generator here and has opted to stealth the edge map here. Does have Iron Will in the back pocket. Wait, Spacey's checking the edge map here. Hang on a second. We might be finding him momentarily here, ladies and gentlemen, but we're taking it a little bit wide. We know he's more towards that 10 tile here. He's behind the Z-War, and we're so close. We're trying to sniff him out. We know he's been working 11. Do we hear the gen? Just, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, he knows he's around this vicinity somewhere, but if he catches on to the fact that, there's still the crows around this top side of the map, he can probably go back to 11 and know that he's just stealthing around there. But obviously, us as a spectators will know that he as a player will not. Therefore, he's going to check every nook and cranny he possibly can. And now Cold just kind of sitting over at 5. Doesn't really matter if Cold bleeds out. I know maybe Spacey will opt to take this hook to try and force the match to close a little bit earlier, as you want to get the matches up and underway, but the safest bet is obviously to hook him as well, just considering the fact that you don't want to risk any sort of trauma tech or whatnot, even though you'd be ahead on gens to some certain degree. But we are going to be taking that final hook of the game. This is going to be the hatch closed momentarily. We're going to see what kind of gates we got. I think we do have one over at 10, as we did see Pepsi just kind of stealthing around that area, and we do have one over at 2. Now, do we have eyes on both, and does Spacey choose the correct gate? And he does. You kind of hear his heartbeat happening a little bit here, and yeah, he does have eyes on both doors, I would say. Wait, is that window just aligned ever so perfectly? It doesn't even matter, because we see the one light here on the gate over at 10, so Mighty 9, sorry. Not what you want on the side of the survivors here. I mean, to put it in retrospect for everybody, if Pepsi was to be able to escape this match unharmed, that means that a 4K1 would not be enough for our killer in the next game. For our survivors in the next game? Well, no, yeah, that would... Hang on, am I confusing myself?
4K1
no,
would eliminate the tie.
It would eliminate the tie, yeah, but it's a detriment to the survivors, I want to say, because a 4K1 would be a win for the killer. Yeah, a full 4K1. Nevertheless, I was struggling to explain. I knew what it looked like in my head, but we are going to be taking that hook there onto Pepsi, and there's going to be no escapes of the sort. There's going to be just the chopped chicken cheese 4K1. You'll have to see it if you're on the side of Spacey, but that will be that until the next match. Is there any more analysis that you want to take away, Chief, to give to our audience and just try to, I don't know, decipher the match a little bit more going into this next set? What do the survivors have to do? What does the killer have to do?
Honestly, Hunter, I think when we talk about what really happened in that game, it's sort of already been covered quite well. The only other thing I want to point out that I find very interesting about Kratos, more in general, but definitely what we saw in this matchup as well, specifically, is how opportunistic they like to play with those hit takes. We saw it happen a lot, and obviously to the point that we were running towards active gens to try and get a hit taken for us. And you know, for a lot of teams, that doesn't seem like a very intelligent play or a play that you're comfortable to make. But Kratos are obviously quite comfortable making decisions like that and just sending a survivor in or sending an injured survivor to another survivor in their chases. Because honestly, if you're able to take, you know, a hit or two and it means the chase lasts instead of most of a gen, it's going to last a gen or maybe even 2 gens, it can pay off in spades. It's how you end up seeing those, you know, 2, 3 stage, even less results. Obviously, it didn't pay off, and I think when you're on as much ping as our survivors are on right now, them being from Hong Kong, our killer being from OCE, so expecting to be at that 130 ping mark, it doesn't pay off. The chases are always going to be a bit quicker, especially against Mastermind, who has all his M1 potential, has access to Brutal, and then can zone you, catch up, and just get downs with his power, right? It's really, really difficult to have those chases last, especially when you're running out of resources like we saw later in the game. So us being so altruistic on the side of survivors, I think was the reason our gen progress in the early and mid game was kind of lacking. I feel like we obviously popped the gen at 3 for that first chase. We got hooked right on top of it. We didn't pain res it. That's unfortunate for Spacey, but I don't think we had much pressure early game other than that one gen. Because we had one survivor running around doing not much, and the other gen was about 40% and got pain resed. And that
Yeah.
obviously is a really, really big problem, Hunter.
It's the big trade playing in groups and whatnot and playing with the tunnel out. Unfortunately, you sacrifice pressure in that instance. And yeah, you just saw it just textbook again. I mean, will you see a SAF play like this? I honestly, maybe not. Maybe
I
they'll
don't
just
think
go.
so.
Yeah, I think they'll just go for like the 2-1 split or the 3 split and then just like try to have an even better chase at the very beginning. Because you did see a fairly early tag, you know, and we did run into the open gens as well, which was just, yeah, you took chase into the open gens, which I found pretty strange. I think the com may have been to take chase there, considering the 3 gen that were given at the top side and just worry about it like when the first down happens. But then we did hop on 11 and it never got finished. So, I mean, I'm not too sure. Maybe that's the wrong game plan. At least that's what I anticipate what would have happened. But hey, what do I know? I mean, going into the match though, 4K1's not completely out of the water for our next killer up on the side of sorry, Kratos. I was trying to think of the team. Yeah, I mean, amongst ping, it is definitely common to see low 4Ks as opposed of stages when you take into consideration killers such as Mastermind and all those like mid-tier killers, those tier 3, tier 4s. You do tend to see more of the 4Ks, considering you try to accommodate for the ping factors. You try to create distance and you try to create some sort of wacky momentum where you try to evade the killer at every single cost, and even if that means running away from the pallet because you know you don't have enough distance and try to jiggy, but it just doesn't work in the end because you can't really play these weird 50 pallets sometimes. I mean, they're just crucial. When the game develops these sorts of pallets to try and you know, balance out the tiles in favor of the killers and the survivors, they don't take into account that obviously when you're in cross ping tournaments, these pallets are just weak, and then with brutal strength as well, breaking them is even more detrimental, and it makes for really short chases, and you will see it time and time again. But you did see main getting used very efficiently throughout that entire match. Look, in the mid game especially, even though you had 2 survivors off of generators, how long did Dahao last around that like backside main with the pallet dropped? I mean, he made about 3 loops by himself. He didn't really even need anybody there, but I guess extra precaution and desperate measures cause for, you know, desperate times cause for desperate measures. But that being said, it is going to be, I think it's going to be Pepsi on the killer here. Yeah. I mean, actually, is it? Oh, I'm not too
No,
sure
it's
here
my
now.
hero,
Yeah.
Hunter. It is
Oh,
my
who is it?
hero,
Who is it? Who is it?
Super Taco.
Oh.
This guy, I love the name. I know nothing about him. I think we together have casted him once. Love it. Just love everything about it.
It's just the name. It's almost like having a wicked entrance in any sort of sport. It's just like when you have a name that sticks, you know that you're going to be able to see great things, and you can only cross your fingers and hope that this is going to happen in this instance. But yeah, I mean, Super Taco. I remember this is like one of the players that they actually added to the team, and it took them a little bit longer to get into the server. I think about a week when we'll form in Team Kratos, because Kratos actually were never really meant to be in the tournament. They were just kind of a last minute thing where they said, hey, we want to play, we're from China, we're a team, we want to compete. And then obviously our Chinese rep said, yeah, no, get them in, they're good. And then, yeah, they have not disappointed. They've, it kind of reminds me of the other team that we had in the competition last season, Aries, where they just, you didn't really know too much about them, but they just performed and, made you jump out of your seat just a few times, more than none. But I mean, they're up against some of OCE's finest. I mean, when you look at the squad here, you got Addict, Spacey, Scared, and Cash. So, I mean, is it Scared or Sacred? No, Sacred. Sorry. There was two players that used to be Sacred and Scared, and I got them mixed up, but it is Sacred, yes. Don't really know too much about Sacred. All the others, though, I mean, you saw them in Gospel last season, absolutely incredible. And throughout this season, I think they've only lost one series, to Savage, which ultimately wasn't even that too far, if I'm not mistaken. I need to go back and watch the series. I could just be talking out my butt, so please ignore me. But, I mean, on the mastermind set, on their pick as well, it is probably in their best interest to be well versed, and all credit to them. They definitely are. You know what? Not probably, they definitely are. Given the fact that you have all these guys just in different sorts of 1v1 tournaments as well. Cash always around DBDR. And then Addict being on the Survivor now is pretty interesting. Throughout the entirety of OSL, you probably see him and you know him more for his Blight gameplay. But I love to see the rotation getting him in. There's a few times, and I think it was around Season 3, where he just put on an absolutely incredible performance with a flashlight against I think it was no, I don't want to say an Oni. I think I'm getting mixed up when he versed Gunther's Oni in Season 1, but there was another time I just have to remember. Maybe it was actually unironically against the Blight on Gashaven. So, Spacey, again, just like, one of those guys who's just been very good, very consistent throughout the entire season, despite being very new to the competitive scene. I know he was inquiring about being in Division 2 a little bit earlier on, and he did have like a lot of friends that were previously played in Division 1, and you obviously cannot have those players in Division 2. But, ultimately forming this team, there's no real reason for them to be in Division 2. I mean, they're second placed on the ladder as it currently stands as well, just underneath 2 Savage. So they are somewhat your favorites into some of the finals matches and whatnot. I do think they'll just be going straight through to the second week, but we have yet to see that, and that is yet to remain. But moving on, we are currently learning in as we do get our Killer just nice and prepped up and ready. Super Taco, haven't seen him play Killer. I don't really know too much about him, even though we're really hyped up on the name there, Chief. What can we really expect out of this match when you're going in blind?
Yeah, I have no expectations at all. I just love Super Taco's name. I truly do not know what he's about to do. He could turn up in 4K5 and it would be incredible, exceptional, and I would love it. But I will never know until we get in there and get to see it done. Maybe he gets 2 stages and I'm super disappointed and I'm let down. We will just have to see. But the one thing that I want to talk about that we do obviously always see from this squad, especially in their earlier days when they were Gospel, want to bring this up now more than ever because they've just brought back an OG member in Sacred or Monk. I'm not sure if you caught on to who it actually was, Hunter. It's Monk.
I didn't think it was. Oh my god, no! Why does he keep changing Nefarious Monk? What? Excuse me?
Hey, look, that is my biological father, so I am here to support him. But no, so obviously that's another member of Gospel back, and we, because of that, especially with Monk included and the amount of macro knowledge he can bring, and the intelligence, and everything else that he has in his toolset, we might see a classic Gospel start to the game. They might not get found for a gen.
Yeah, probably. Oh my god, I feel so stupid now knowing that's Monk. But anyway, we're going to be seeing Super Taco go all the way into the middle of the map here and trying to sniff out our first tunnel outs of the match. We did see the rotations just momentarily where we see one in main, one here over at 10, one here over at 2, actually 2 here over at 2, I do believe. Cash just kind of sitting here over at 11, given the comms as he was the only survivor to have LOS. I think he has been spotted here though with the Disturbed Crow. Super Taco opting to check this 11 filler here and does find Cash, who's going to be pre-dropping this rock filler all the way into 10. And I just despise this new filler that they've added into this map. Like, what the hell is this? But nevertheless, we do win the stun there on the side of Cashews, just forced all the way into the middle of the map. Can greet this pallet once. Does he greet it again a second time? He does, but I do think you get hit through this, especially on ping. No way! He just greets it. If he threw that, he gets hit, and now he's able to throw it, but he's opted to greet it again for some just obscure reason. We are going to be eating this tag and now using the main building to the best of our abilities here. We're vaulting with power on the side of Super Taco. This power's going to be going down instantly on the side of Cash, but with power up again, maybe we make it just in time on the side of Super Taco. Super Dash not quite connecting, and we're forced all the way into corner 11 here, so we have zoned Cash away, but we've jiggied around and we're going to the backside of 12, using absolutely nothing to our advantage. We're running past an XK, no pallet source. Jiggy 1, Jiggy 2, no way! And he's broken away, and now he's making around, vaulting this pallet once, vaulting it twice. Does he get hit down? We're not swinging, we're playing too cautiously on the side of Super Taco. Check spot 1, check spot 2, ultimately going down. Cash has had an amazing first chase for what it is worth, and that is probably going to be 2 generators popping. We did see the double in the background get done. Now, do we make this one on the side of our single, on the side of Addict here? I think he's working 7. Yeah, that's going to pop. We just don't make this middle hook in time, unfortunately. Yeah, oh no. What a start, Chief. What a start.
That was beautiful, Hunter. Now, I'm not too sure if you were there today, but Johnny Cash was streaming this morning. I did get to tune in, and he was, wow, that's a very quick tag onto Spacey. Unfortunate to have that pallet drop with the bounds up. That is going to potentially force this unhook to come out very, very quickly if we are not careful, but I think our survivors are a bit more heads up than that Addict was positioned for it, just in case. If he gets tagged, it will definitely be the case. We need him off the hook ASAP in that situation, but I don't think we have egg. We weren't able to hold our bounce for just long enough to get that tag, and yeah, we don't. Look at that. That is Unicorn Gloves. Unfortunately, though, Monk was there. We were not able to get that unhook for free. We took the trade tag and got the BT hit as well with the slam, so it's now up to Johnny once again to last. Thankfully, he's managed to make it all the way to Shaq off of that tag, which is going to give him enough resources to work around. Though we did drop the pallet nearly instantaneously. Super Taco is going to follow us through, potentially giving us access to 5 tile, but with bounds in hand, if Johnny isn't able to dodge this time, but he is once again. Now we have a long wall to work around. We're not even going to play it just yet. We might go to the outside. We might go to the pallet 4, and look at this, holding distance back to our pallet. That's exactly what you need to see. Just need to be careful now that we don't get bounded on with these medium vaults. It is looking a bit scary, and Super Taco is just holding longer and longer to make sure that down is able to come through, and he does it just in time. Now look at this, Hunter. We have Addict's gen that's about 80%. We're not going to be able to pop it this time for the pain res, so finally Johnny's pain res will be used on this top mid hook. We're kind of in the same situation, but honestly a little bit worse off. The pull did come in quite early, and I think the Spacey tag is exactly why. A very unfortunate position to be put in. It was this gen at 2 that was obviously being worked. As you can see, it was hit by the pain res, and oh my word, Hunter, look at the gens. They are so topside still. We have 8, we have like bot mid, sort of full mid on logs. Once again, we have 3, and we have 11 and 1. These, 11 and main. Very interesting gen split again. Going to be pretty easy to hold, especially with this hook. And I mean, hey, despite our incredible start, I dare say Super Taco is kind of in a dominant position right now. We need to be very, very careful to not give another free tag away from our survivor side.
Yeah, and Cash didn't even really die too centralized into the map. However, he's been hooked right smack bang in the middle of everything, in the middle of all the action. We hear main being worked by Monk, and we also hear over it too that generator being worked by Addict. We do manage to get the pull for free. So yeah, they've done really well to play it both aggressive on these generators and then get the pull last second here, which to our avail we got for the people to deny the tunnel out here. Cash now playing with the max time with the endurance status effect there at the pallet. Does get mind gained here a little bit though, but does make the pallet again, does throw it. He really has made a lot of good use out of this mid filler here. Has vaulted it once, has vaulted it twice, is winning all his 50s, but unfortunately going down in the end. That's another generator in the background pop. So, I mean, we're at the tie condition right now, and that's Cash out of the game. So it's very similar to last match. If we can look at our spread here, we can kind of get a gist of how the rest of the match is going to pan out. We do have 11, we do have 7, and if we turn around on the side of our killer, which we will do momentarily, we do see it's all the way over at 5. So yeah, the gens are absolutely split. It's like mid 5, actually mid 4, somewhere around there, just outside the logs. So if we just ping pong 11,
really
if we ping pong mid and 11 and mid, yeah, this is still I don't know. It's not a tight 3-gen. It's not the tightest 3-gen you ever see, but it's still holdable, Chief. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we're going to be taking this kick here. Eruption proc. We can see the reset happen over at Shaq, and just Monk's probably going to be playing aggressive for this 11 generator. Does have access to sprint burst, so the perfect player to be, preemptively leaving. But we have seen his little feetsies just around the rock there, and we do use the sprint burst to our advantage, and we're just kind of forced into the window of main. So we are going to be getting hit through this, though. That's just not what you want to see on the side of SAF. And now we're just kind of forced around the main building, maybe towards 1. No, he's trying to make all the way down to 3. Does get hit by a bee's sting. Like, honestly, what is that? And we do get the eruption proc there all the way over at 7. What do our survivors do? We have Addict playing aggressive for the pool, and we have Spacey playing aggro for the generator. It's going to come down to tooth and nail. It's going to be very, very close to the wire. I mean, they definitely can still out this with 3 remaining in the trial, but with Monk hooked centralized and just being caught out here over at 11 on the side of Addicts, Spacey not really able to wiggle around it at all. It's just kind of, I think he's over at the, 7 tile here. Look, scratch marks leading more towards, I think maybe we even saw like a crow fly up over at logs there. We do see some over at mid, but I do think this was like just because of the killer and the survivor on hook. And now we are just going to be holding ground here over at the middle of the gens, in all honesty, as we try and get another tag onto Addict here. He's just evaded that very nicely. He's going to be running the backside of main, ultimately getting tagged and hauling us all the way down to the bot side of the map. No, he's opting to play around main for the one time. I don't think he makes that. It's almost like what you saw with the pallet last game, Chief. How the hell has that happened? I mean, that's 2 times I've seen a Wesker get robbed in just 1 series. But regardless, Super Taco going back on his gen patrol here after seeing the unhook had happened. Monk in the background getting that spray action going, I do believe. Well, maybe not. We did see momentarily that the instinct notification popped up besides the avatar. I don't know what that was all about, but regardless, Super Taco is going to take chase here all the way into corner 7. This is going to be Spacey, who is on a full health state, is pain resonance stack. He's going to be eating a tag there and running all the way down to the shack. Now does Super Taco opt to commit this, and he's thought about it as you saw him glimpse over for just a second, but he's opted to go back to the middle of his generators here and just play super territorial, super defensive, if you will say the survivors. Actually, you know what? I want to say both teams here are on the back foot. They are both on the defensive. You want to see the survivors play aggro, but at the moment they really can't afford to do so, considering that there's 3 injured in the trial. Now we're really trying to sniff that reset out, and we were in the correct position for it. For our killer, we have caught out our only injured survivor here, Spacey, who'll be going down. There's another eruption proc in the background as well. It's just kind of tying back into a 4K1 here, Chief. I have to be brutally honest.
No, it really is, Hunter. It's kind of unfortunate. Being able to find Monk Edge 11 is kind of what turned this game. When you enter the 3v1 in the state that we found ourselves in, we've accidentally clicked our flashlight. I'm not too sure that was intentional. We haven't been able to make it to the pallet just yet either. Scared of getting thrown, I would assume Monk is, and unfortunately with his movement isn't able to dodge that just yet, but he will be able to play back to this pallet gym at 5 and drop it safely, as we do see him now stuck basically on this tile for his life. We did see Addict there on the gen as well. He's going to have to try and... Oh, we're all the way at 3. My bad. And unfortunately, Monk has tried to jiggy. He isn't able to get that off, so that will be him on the floor once more. We're going to take his hook and a pain res top mid. That will be hitting 11, denying all of the progress Addict had just built up. And with this hook being top mid, honestly, Hunter, I know this is going to sound a bit ridiculous considering we have a death hook survivor, we have another injured survivor and Addict in the trial, but it really is still recoverable. It's going to be very, very difficult, especially with the amount of prog we have. We're going to need to reset spacing, and we're going to need a repeat of the situation we saw previously where Addict is sitting 11, and honestly, I think Spacey just needs to sit bot mid, and you need to force the killer to commit to something, and as they commit, you get that unhook for free, force the bounds out. But with these scratch marks here, I'm a little bit worried. I'm not too sure who those were. Spacey is actually already on 8. That's lovely stuff. Addict is setting it to the hook. He's potentially even trading, which I don't know how I feel about, but he's going to pressure it for as long as possible without giving a tag. And obviously in the background, we know Spacey is sitting that gen at 8. This is kind of the only way we're going to win this game. We need to force the rotation to 8, and we're kind of trying to get that done right now and trying to get the pull for free. But I think our killer Super Taco is aware that we have not enough progress, that we really need to be worried about the gen immediately. Look at that, yeah, it's only at 25%, so we're just going to camp Monk to death. This will be the 2v1 being forced with the 1 gen remaining, and with Addict healthy, we don't even really need to commit this after we get to the gen. He's going to send it in for the trade, and we're not going to be able to get it. We get thrown. That's brutal. We might not even make this pallet. We do just, but we will be stuck on top of it. Sorry. Our killer Super Taco doesn't even care about Addict anymore, though. Makes the pallet, and he's right over at 8. Spacey will have to do his best, basically on top of his gen. Doesn't have the pallet at 7 anymore, but he will be able to life off of this matchstick window and make it all the way deep 6. Exactly what he needed. Super Taco didn't catch on to the life just immediately, but he didn't want to leave too early, getting Eruption back on that gen and heading back to top mid. We see that Crow over towards 11. I would assume that was from Addict venturing there. We haven't been able to spot him immediately, so maybe he's not over there just yet. We might be playing slow now that Spacey has been able to make it to bottom and get a reset off, and I think Super Taco is thinking that as well. It's why we're traveling towards the shack, and I think he's going to catch out Spacey very, very quickly. Yeah, look at this. We've got eyes, and now it's up to Spacey to be able to last. That's 2 bounds around, and with no pallet, no safety here. That's us thrown in on the ground once more. Addict basically just stuck at 3 with nothing to do. Has to somehow rotate both to Spacey, get a reset off, and then get on a gen completely safely. And with the amount of progress we have, Hunter, I dare say it's not going to be doable. We may just be seeing a tie from this position.
Maybe, maybe not. The survivors have one more chance because we're already at the tie condition. What they can do is go for a little bit of a trauma tech here. If Spacey dies fresh, not good. We have to hook Spacey regardless. If Addict dies fresh, not good. We need to maybe even just, yeah, go for like some sort of like a hatch trauma tech play. I'm just not too sure. It's the only really thing they have going for them, the survivors, because yeah, Super Taco's just in such a dominant position at the moment. And I want to point out as well, no jeweled beetle. It is unicorn medallion and leather gloves. So I thought that throw was definitely jeweled beetle, but no, it's just base throw. It's crazy. I mean, you know, you've seen 2 of them this time around, so you didn't even need jeweled beetle. But I mean, the build's the exact same, so you know, it's the kind of stock standard for the Wesker. But regardless, wow, no way. Hang on, we've oh, game over now. Spacey. I mean, God forbid, and I feel like Super Taco definitely won't let this happen. If Spacey does bleed out, that's the only thing we have going for our survivors. Now, he knows he's all the way over at the bottom side of the map, and he is going to the correct location as we do take the final hook onto Addict here. Spacey is just kind of crawling around this rock filler mountain, if you do say so myself, and is going to go just on the top of it. And wait, hang on a second. Where are we looking on the side of our killer here? Because are we sniffing just the edge? Yeah, hang on a second. Don't bamboozle yourself here. Don't make it harder than what it needs to be. He's just on the rock there. Yeah, he sees him. Okay. Wow, that was scary for a little bit. I mean, that could have been, we could have just been watching Spacey just crawl around the map for the next, I don't know, 2.5 minutes and just ultimately bleed out for the set taken away by SAF. But regardless, this will be the tie I'm at the moment. I mean, you know, 4K1 both sides, and we are going to be moving on into what I do believe is the nightmare set on Dead Dog Saloon, which is Kratos' pick. That'll be pretty interesting. I anticipate that it's going to be J Cash on the killer for the side of SAF. For the side of Kratos, I want to say that I want to say Pepsi, but it could be Oscillator. I'm not too sure. Maybe Oscillator, because we did see them. I think we did see them play. Did we see them play Freddy in their last time? I swear we've seen Kratos play a Freddy set. Please tell me if I'm wrong, Chief.
I have no idea. I have to be entirely honest with you. I have absolutely no idea. But our beautiful match staff have informed me that it's most likely going to be Oscillator based on their previous games. And if they're wrong, blame them in the chat right now. It's not my fault. I will always push it onto somebody else. So thank you, Mr. Anonymous Match Staff Official. Anyways, yeah, I mean, Freddy is going to be really interesting. Obviously, we now have a tie, so we're guaranteed our tiebreaker of Plague on Suffo 1 after this. But I mean, look, if you are Kratos, you're probably feeling pretty good about the state of the game overall right now. You're heading into your set. You're not down a set at all. You have your pick with your preferred killer player. I would assume Oscillator is the preferred killer player. He has been playing a majority of the killers, and whenever he steps up, he looks damn incredible. So I'm assuming Kratos are pretty damn confident, especially because, Hunter, Freddy is kind of a terrible killer for all of OCE. It really never plays out well for OCE teams, and I don't know what it is. It's kind of a 4K simulator, despite the fact that I think the killer is a little bit harmless, especially on DDS. But, you know, we might just see a 4K. There's a fair bit of ping involved, and our SEA and NEA teams do tend to love these sort of pseudo M1 killers with their little bit of extra flavor. You know, your Freddy's, your give me another hand here. What's another set we love to see? We normally see a lot of race. There's a fair bit of demo as well, but you know, those DDS sets are very, very popular. It's why we're seeing one tonight, right? We know that Kratos are big fans, having mentioned that they did play it previously. And I'm very curious to see how this one's going to go. I'm a big fan of this set personally. And I mean, hey, if there are interesting things to be done and said, there there is the potential for interesting things to be done and said during this match. You know, I remember in recent times we saw Gibbsy hit an incredible down with a pallet on main, something I didn't even know about that you could do, and he did it in a match. Did it against me, actually. I was on the ground. It was not very fun to see, but, you know, this killer has a lot of outplay potential and a lot of knowledge checks on DDS, and obviously it's still an M1 killer. You bring your sloppy butcher, you play that hit and run, you have a teleport. Goddamn, I mean, like it's kind of a really fun, versatile kit where you can do so many different things. And as much as it is a battle of your M1 chase, it's also a battle of your, like I said, your knowledge, because there's really big knowledge checks all across this map with different interactions pretty much everywhere that you need to be aware of, or you're going to get downed a lot quicker than you would be expecting with all the strong resources you have access to on this map.
Yeah, definitely. What I think we'll be doing though is we're going to be taking a quick intermission while we get this next game set up for you guys. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick short break. And welcome back, everyone, to SAF vs Kratos. Yes, you just saw set 1 Mastermind, which resulted in a tie 4K1 apiece. It'll be set 2 now, Nightmare on the Dead Dog Saloon. Freddy on Dead Dog Saloon. Yeah, so we were just mentioning a little bit before, Chief, about Dead Dog Saloon and how it's just an absolute 4K machine of a map, at least in the OCE region. I think the killers just vibe with it, in all honesty. It's just, and obviously there's some misplay and then ping to be accounted for and whatnot, but hopefully we can see some outs this time around, considering that, yeah, it is only Freddy, you know. His power is playable around it. He's just kind of somewhat an M1 killer, and you do have access to all these exhaustions to be used. So we are going to be placing all the fake pallets on the map on the side of Oscillator, who's spawned on the bottom side, now going all the way down to top here, where we spot out Cash, who is running all the way backside 11. We are kind of paired with Monk here at the moment, who's just been, you know, just interrupted stealthing, and we have diverted chase just a little bit back onto Monk, who is on the top floor now. Is going to be trying to use the, I want to say the top side window, because he doesn't make the bottom side window. Does hit the fast vault very nicely. No swing coming in from Oscillator. He's going to opt to break the door instead of vaulting the window, and has chose to leave the chase entirely. He has not vaulted the window because he doesn't have Bamboozle. He's opted to bring machine learning as to oppose of anything else, which I know is quite of a bizarre pick, but it is quite popular amongst some of these players, I feel. And I like to see the rotation, in all honesty. But, you know, Spacey going to be running past that pallet there, but trying to hit the fast vault on that window there, unfortunately getting caught out with the medium vault. Just following up, chase back to the outside of main, greeting the pallet once. Does he make it again on the other side? No, he's been caught out with a mind game here, but we've mind gamed ourselves on the side of offside. I definitely think he could have hit that via the ping. Has just played a little bit safer, and then, you know, it doesn't even matter in the end anyway. We do see someone's feet just underneath the carriage pallet there. Is going to be Cashews dropping that fake pallet now. Just going to be eating another tag. Oh, this is looking a little bit dicey here very early on, as we do have a tag and somebody on the floor at the cost of 75% progression on a generator. We do get away. We heard the stun proc. Did we just get iframes?
He wasn't in it, I don't think.
No, I heard this. I heard the stun. Did you? Wait, can we get confirmation on someone hearing the stun? Is that just me going crazy? I feel like I did, but nevertheless, we'll be taking Jace back over to the backyard 8 portion of the map. So regardless, Chief, this is 2 injures and a hook. You hate to see it.
You really do hate to see it. That hit on Addict was feral, by the way. But look at this. You're playing Freddy like you got Sloppy Butcher, and it's the classic EU playstyle of hit and run with the teleports. You love to see it. It's beautiful gameplay, and Oscillator is a very big fan. We've seen it previously. It's also why he has machine learning. He's going to let some gens pop and get all that haste and all that undetectable juiciness. to basically just be able to be on top of somebody without them knowing and get those quick and easy downs. And if we aren't careful, speaking of being on top of our survivors without them knowing, look, our reset has been caught out 8. That's going to be Addict on the ground, not winning that 50 on the short side of the pallet. Johnny has sent it away, but we're going to teleport all the way back to the hook. And if we aren't careful, I know Monk was rotating close on by. Yeah, we're going to get unhooked right on top of our survivors once more. Oscillator has unfortunately lost Spacey for a second there, but the pallet's going to hit RB. I guess we're not asleep because that didn't hit RBT, but, you know, that will be a forced medium if we do vault that because of the snare. So Spacey has opted to not vault at all, not getting grabbed, just trying to wait out the BT. And that's once again Spacey on the ground. We've not even popped a gen. This is such a terrible, terrible start, Hunter. But look, as a consolidation, right, we might have basically no gen progress. Monk is back on that mid gen. It's only about 50%, I would assume. We tried to get the reset off once again near 8. We've got an Addict reset, but not Spacey, sorry. Johnny has not been reset just yet. We were on the same pallet. I mean, I don't know. This is really problematic, Hunter. There is a lot of things going on here that are spelling, big problems. And if you are the survivors, you do need to be questioning that start. I mean, unfortunately, I hate to call Spacey out, but his chase was pretty lackluster. You know, he made it from a jungle gym to main and kind of didn't drop either of the pallets that he had access to and took 2 tags because he tried to greed and play around the snare with movement. And unfortunately, against this killer, it's kind of what you can't do. He just needed to play a bit safer. I think he's maybe not too comfortable with the forced mediums that you see from snares, and also just the hinder that you are given whenever you are afflicted by the Freddy power. And yeah, unfortunately, it's led to 2 very quick downs, and for basically no gen progress. We did see once again that mid gen was about 50%. This gen at 6 is around the same, but with machine learning on one of them now, and the amount of tags we're giving away for free, this could be really problematic. You know, I'm not too sure that even if we get this gen at 6 to pop, it's going to mean much else. Machine learning, like I said, really has a lot of potential on a killer that likes to play hit and run. It kind of throws you off. And unfortunately, yet again, look at this. We've just teleported to a complete different spot of the map, and we've caught out a survivor injured. It's our tunnel out, and if we get him dead at 5, Hunter, I don't know if we're talking 4K1 anymore like we predicted at the start of the game. We might be looking at a 4K2 or a 4K3 even.
Yeah, I mean, he's going down as well. Yeah, that'll be him dead at 5. That's just not what you want to see on the side of SAF here. As we do take his final stage, we are going to be teleporting to that mid generator where we spotted out Cash, who is also injured. I was going to say just a little bit earlier ago, we definitely can't afford to be found on the side of Spacey, but it just all fell apart as we did spot him over at 11. We are going to be downing Cash here at this fake pallet. This is going to be the first generator over at the mid side popped, and it'll be you know, at this current stage of 4K4. Now, can Oscillator hold on to this as we do hook here over in the middle of the map? We do spot our Addict working that 6 generator. Do we follow up with it? No, we actually didn't see him. Okay, so we opted to go all the way into the middle of the map here, where Monk on one side here working 2. Does Addict choose to work the gen and leave Johnny on hook? That probably would be the smart decision, as Monk is forced back into 4. Has kind of just stopped momentarily at this pallet here. It's a very weak pallet. I don't know why you'd really want to be playing this. Are we waiting for Sprint Burst to come back maybe? It doesn't really matter at this point. We are trying to bait out the window, but unfortunately getting tagged just before we reach it. And again, just forced all the way into 1 here and just rendered obsolete. We did manage to get the unhook in the background onto Cash there, so I'm glad we didn't stick the generator, as, you know, we got 3 survivors back in the trial. Everybody besides Addict injured as it currently stands. We are forcing Cash all the way into 9, where if you know this map and you know it very well, 9 is just no pallets to be found. Unfortunately, there is always these crappy fillers that you see here, and they're just so easy to play around on the side of killers that just have an M1 capability. Cash is going to be going down. We're opting to slug here and go for a teleportation all the way down to the mid side of the map, where we spot our Addict, who was working that generator, which sounds about 75% of the way done. We are going to be using the window to the best of our ability, vaulting it twice again, but getting hit through that. You don't even make that on ping, off ping, unfortunately. But, you know, Oscillator taking that tag, now going back to his slug, which is Cash on the floor. Monk ready to pop that generator over at 2, so at the very worst it is 4k3 like you had said just moments before, Chief. We are really going to be fighting for that 4k2. We do see Addict here working all the way over at 6, but he is injured, and if we opt to teleport here on the side of Oscillators, could be troublesome, and it is. And as we take that teleport, we are going to be taking the kick on the generator there over at 6. That's going to be machine learning procced onto that generator, as we do have it at our disposal currently for the next 30 seconds. We are going to be trying to play around the pallet with that haste status effect coming in, and we're closing on immense amounts of distance here. We win the 50 on the side of Oscillator. We're trying to backvolt on the side of Addict, and we get hit through the window. It's terrible. It's terrible, unfortunately, for our Survivor team here, as we do teleport here on the top side of main. We do see a Monk just forced into the corner of 8, trying to play for this 8 generator here. Nowhere to go, nowhere to use pallets, no window to our avail. We are just going to be going down ultimately, and Cash is just kind of forced here to rotate and pick up Addict, and it's just going to be rinse repeat after slug after slug after slug until we can get on top of things on the side of our Survivors. But I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon, as we do see the crossover leading into 2. It's going to be Oscillated just faking up the teleport. Faking up the dream snare rather, my bad. Does manage to spot out Cash just sitting around this 2 tile here. Do see the blood leading into a whole lot of nothing. He is trying to get that head-on play, but unfortunately not quite working out. And again, rinse repeat. You see Addicts going for that pickup onto Monk there. You know, it's just so hard to work around when you only have 3 survivors left in the trial. Oh, when I say that, it's 2 survivors. I did forget Cash was on Death Hook there.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hunter, this game is kind of all but done, and you know, interesting vault Monk. Okay, we, like I was about to say, don't really have much else to say about the match as it is going on. You know, we are seeing our final chase of the game coming on to Addict now. It will be the 4k3 secured once he is on the ground, and I mean, yeah, definitely not the result you want to see against a Freddy, but there are a fair few things I want to talk about on the more macro side, and there's a pallet eating us up. Addict is finally done and dusted. This will be our 4k3. Oscillator played that beautifully. You know, I do have a few things that I want to talk about, and I feel like this is obviously where the game, it's a pretty obvious point where the game sort of turned on its head. It was where we gave away the free tag playing for the pallet save, and then following that up, Monk was unable to get it himself. After the tag came onto Johnny, you know, it's just a really unfortunate scenario when you know, commit so much to a pallet save, 2 survivors, one ending up injured and the other not even able to get it in the end is so unfortunate. We gave up a lot of gen pressure, and of course as well, Spacey dying on top of that gen top mid is just really unfortunate. It's kind of why we had all of our pressure go to waste. It's why he died at 5 generators. You know, we had a lot of gens on that bottom side. I'm not too sure if we got to point it out. We had your Gallows gen, we had all the way at 7, we had 6, we had bot mid, and we had 4. You had 5. I think that's actually nearly 6 gens. It was 5. No, sorry, I can count. It is 5 gens on the bottom side of the map, and those are very difficult to break. It's not that infamous Gallows 3 gen or a topside 4 gen that's super, super tight, but everything is so close together. And like I said, when you have the ability to just teleport around and play hit and run, there's not much you really need to worry about in terms of map pressure on the top side. And it also means that your strongest resource for chase, being main, isn't all that accessible, because a lot of your gens that you need to be pressuring, especially if you're having to work them injured, which we did see quite a bit, especially in that 3v1, your strongest resource is just on the other side of the map. You realistically can't make it in your chase. You kind of just need to be as far away from those gens as possible. If you somehow get really lucky, win a Jiggy, make main, beautiful stuff, but we just didn't see it happen. The only time we saw someone make main for a chase was Spacey in his first chase. He took a really bad tag to main, couldn't make inside, made front main, and then died on the pallet there, because instead of playing around his pallets even at 4 tile, he played greedy, didn't drop, wanted to try and make as much distance as possible, which you kind of can't do against Freddy, especially on ping. His power denies all of that ability. It forces you into those 50s on your pallets, and that's a bit of a knowledge check, I guess, for Spacey. I would assume he's probably not too experienced against a Freddy. It's not a common killer you see in pubs or in comp overall, but it's definitely, like I said, one of those surprise killers that can pick up a 4K, especially on DDS, and obviously we saw a 4k3, and I don't think that's any bit standard at all, but I think there's a lot to learn individually for Spacey, and maybe some reflections to do for Spacey and friends as a team as a whole, in terms of the playstyle we chose to adapt in that early game, because it really did allow for Oscillator to just snowball his way to victory. Hunter, before I do hand it back to you, maybe we might end up cutting to an intermission as well as we do get the next lobby set up. I want to point out that we don't have Johnny Cash on the killer like we expected. It's going to be Monk.
Yeah, I mean, all credit to him. In all honesty, there's these really weird killers that Monk likes to put up a performance on. So hopefully you can see him pull a good result here. 4K4 though, oh, I don't know, because it's Freddy, and it's like you're not really meant to get 4K4s. Yeah, you can chop it up to 4K1, 4K0 on ping, especially with these guys it being their pick. I just don't see a world where it's going to be 4K4. I obviously want to be proven wrong all the time. I want to just honestly want to see a good match. And with that being said, I think we're going to go into a quick and short intermission while we get the next game set up for you guys. Again, we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are loading into our second half of our Freddy set, and I'm finally going to get to talk about something that isn't just a game, losing control. I wanted to talk about our add-ons in the last set, so I'm going to start off with it right now in this set because we've had a lot of interesting picks. We did see Oscillator bringing Garden Rake. If you don't know what that does, it increases the size of your Dream Snare, the width, like the actual width of it, by about 10%. Doesn't really work. I think it's been bugged for a very long time, so I'm interested as to why we did see it. But apparently it's a pretty popular pick outside of OCE and SEA/NEA. I didn't know that, but we did see it in the last game. Not a huge fan. The other add-on that we did see for Oscillator was Nancy's Masterpiece, your standard add-on. Whenever you hit them, a survivor being them, with one of your abilities, it decreases all your cooldowns by 10%. Now, we've not opted for any add-ons that help us with our powers. Generally, what we've done, as you've just seen Monk is able to do with his add-ons, he's using Unicorn and Cloth Shirt, which allows his pallets to be as efficient as possible. And we've seen him get that beautiful first hit with one of his Dream Pallets to get this very early down all the way one. Can't make much distance off of that. That's basically a two-tap. We were able to make it all the way back to the pallet at one, but not much further. And with that down, Hunter, we talked in the pre-match off stream that Monk might need to get a bit generational here for us to see him be able to 4K4, but if you're ever going to have a start to do it, that might have just been it.
That is definitely the start you want, and it's another tag. So the games both have what's in common, just tag after tag and a hook as well. I mean, granted, a little bit quicker in this match, but not as much detrimental effect as you saw Oscillator play just before, but still nonetheless can quickly get out of hands, as we do see Monk teleport all the way to the top side of main, really looking for that reset. Does manage to spot it out here over at corner 11. This is going to be Chuck in chase with Cold playing the twos. We are going to be making the window vault here, but at the cost of a tag onto Cold. Now, does Monk decide to follow up chase and just ditch his tunnel out? I think he does. Yeah, he's going to be committing Cold here on the backside of 11, but he's going to opt to just teleport and interrupt this generator here over at Gallows, which just kind of resets everything. You have 3 survivors injured in the trial as it currently stands, so I guess he's just applying pressure onto his generators. I do kind of like this idea. Nevertheless, we will be just committing Pepsi for the last tag that we need. We have all 4 Infinity Stones in this case. I guess everybody injured on the board. We're going to get sluggy with it, and as one of our match staff put it, generational, if you don't mind, as Pepsi takes this chase here over at Shack. Really has to last here. Has a nice, very nice check spot there over at the corner shack. Very default work there, but nevertheless, it will be Monk going back to main here. Breaking this door is diabolical. I don't agree with this at all. This can come back to bite him in the ass in the mid game if the survivors know what they're doing on how to use that diagonal window to their advantage. It's just kind of 3 free loops if we don't get hit by the Dream Snare or whatnot. But we are going to be teleporting back to the bottom side of the map here, and we've caught out Pepsi once more. Is going to be forced into the water tower, greeting that pallet, now making 4 as well, but I don't think it's a strong enough tile. Yeah, we've opted not to medium vault that, so very nice work to be able to use the pallet, but has to play the 50s, has to win the 50s too, wins 1, probably wins the next one, has opted to just greed and just make all the way back to 5, if you don't mind. He's just greeted that pallet. I thought maybe even he was going to play the 50 again on the pallet. Whoa, nice to dodge that swing too, dropping the firecracker. We don't get the blind because we're a little too little too close to the killer there, but we are going to be forcing Locker here. This is going to probably result in the first generator popped in the trial. I don't think, yeah, there's no hook that's close enough to us to get that that pain resonance proc as quickly as we would have liked. There will be 2 done in the background, and we do know that mid 6 was being worked, and I'm not too sure where our other pressure lies on the map, but we are really trying to sniff out who is working this one generator. It does seem to be the survivor that's already ran all the way down into 5. It is Dahao, who is now just going to be vaulting this window here. Life in hand is going to be able to make 4 with the dropped pallet, and just going to be playing the window, I would assume, just leading back into the water tower there. But getting hit with the dream snare is going to hinder them just momentarily, where that is enough to close the distance and get the down on the side of Monk there, who's now going to be taking his next hook of the trial. And these pain resonance hooks are just not in our favor at the moment for the position that we've been given. So as we do that, we are going to be going back to the main building here, where we've interrupted 2 survivors, I want to say, as we see Pepsi going one way, and I do believe Cold going the other, potentially even Chuck, but we are going to be committing chase back onto Pepsi. Yeah, it was Cold, okay, and he's rotated off of that chase entirely, not getting a ping hit there on the side of Monk. Very unfortunate stuff, but he is going back to his generators to momentarily check up on them, because he really wants to hold this 4K4 as it currently stands with 3 stages on the board. As we do have another Dream Snare, he is not connecting onto Pepsi. He's greeted the window here, but this is probably just going to result in a tag, playing patiently on that tile there on the side of Monk this time around. As we do take a tag, we are going to be following up chase there. Nothing to kind of aid us there. But nevertheless, oh, that's going to be a nasty hit. Yep, that window always does it to you. Hitboxes at the top of it until you reach the floor, and yet that's just disgusting. Well, until the vault is completed. Either way, those who know the distance just know the distance. Regardless, you just knew that was connecting 9 times out of 10. We do have 2 separate generators at 50%, or maybe is that a double happening in the background? It's a double, okay. Really trying to get that tie condition out of the way there. No eruption proc onto that mid 6, but it is going to hit main, and we are going to be taking the next hook of the trial here. It's going to be Chuck slapped on a pain resonance, but we have already been at pain res, and this will be the tie condition solidified at the moment, Chief. Do they make the win condition? I would say it's pretty safe to say so, but we could be seeing another tie.
We could be seeing a tie. It would be incredible. I do want to point out, Diehouse medium vault was so risky. If Monk hadn't pulled up his snare at that time, he would have gotten that down, and I dare say that may have just been enough for the 4K3 to be secured already. Now, I do think that could have been a bit of an early call if our survivors were able to stabilize, but the call for the down might have been made. It's why we saw this early rotation. Chuck was pulled right in front of Monk's face. We're going to attempt the fast swap. We hit it. Monk isn't able to block it just in time. This gives Chuck access to the rest of main to play around. We finally get him asleep, so our dream snares and pallets will be able to be used to their full effect in this chase. And to prevent anything happening that's unsuspected, we have Cold following us up, making sure we have as much distance as possible. But the problems with hit tanks on this killer is that you can use your dream snares to flick through the survivor. We weren't able to do it just yet, and obviously taking the tag was the result of that. So Chuck will now have to try and play around this for as long as possible, but Monk is a little bit scared of the gens in the background. What he cannot be allowing, if he wants to take this tie, like you said, Hunter, is a single gen popping. Pepsi's gen at 8 is so high progress. Pepsi is injured, and if he's found out on top of it, he might even be one of our pain reses remaining. Monk is going to have to try his damnedest to find him, but unfortunately he's not spotted Pepsi immediately and give him access to be able to leave towards 6, and he's done exactly that. He's now a fair bit safer, but Monk has teleported all the way to 6 as well. And we've caught Pepsi off guard entirely. That's him on the ground. Now that gen at 8 can be hooked right on top of, and our progress is a bit lacking everywhere else on the map. Obviously, Diehouse gen is at about 50%. I'm not too sure where it is, but it's going to feel good to see this pain res hitting the gen that we are so close to. We know that we have a bit of extra time to be moving around now, and I think Monk really might have it in his mind that this is doable. And our gen with progress is this mid gen. It's going to be very hard to play around as we start to get rid of these pallets. Obviously, we did just break this pallet pop mid here, the front main pallet. We've got an eruption back on the gen. If we set some dream snares around this with our add-ons to increase the size and their cooldown recovery, we could be hitting some beautiful pallets like we saw at the start of the game onto Chuck. And if we are able to look at this, we're having a repeat scenario. We just weren't able to do it Daihao barely avoids that by using his distance expertly and gets Lice to make it all the way back around to 1. This is exactly what you need if you are our survivors, and Monk is all too aware that he can't commit to it for too long, so he's going to play to cut off our survivors at the gen at 8. Cold's done a double vault on the window at Shaq, and he's going to take a tag for it. We didn't need to play that 50, but we have. That's that tag finally coming in, and if we are to commit this, it would be a pain race, but once again, I think Monk is all too worried about the generators. He knows that progress is slowly building around the map, and he can't give anything up for free. We see Daihao once again on a gen that's about 50%. We found Pepsi, our Death Hook survivor, who is injured, meaning we could force a 3v1 very quickly now. If we're able to get him out of the Trial Hunter, I dare say it could be doable, but as this chase goes on longer and longer, Daihao's gen gets closer and closer to popping, and if we aren't too careful now, this will be the loss. Finally coming in, Hunter, as I dare say, we have done it.
Main is just a really safe generator, and we did apply pressure to 8 in middle of the map, but ultimately it wasn't enough as we were working 3 generators with 4 survivors left in the trial. That tunnel out not quite connecting a little bit earlier on, and now Monk just kind of getting a little bit frustrated, goes for an ambitious swing, is going to be evading it from Pepsi. Now, he is going to go back to his gen patrol, I would assume, or he's even going to just commit whoever is just sitting at the top of main. I think that was Daihao, if I not mistaken. We do see the faint scratch marks leading to the front of main, maybe a head-on play set up by Pepsi of some sort. That'd be absolutely crazy. Nevertheless, no, it'll just be 2 healthy survivors playing around the inside of main rather, sorry, and now going to the outside is going to be Daihao, who was our life player who just used it there moments ago. We have opted to leave Chuck entirely. We have 2 injured survivors in the background trying to get that last generator done, so we can still get a 4K1 as far as Monk's best result goes. I mean, I wouldn't take it out of the cards just yet, but oh my god, he is going to be trying everything out of the books though, because he's already lost the win condition, and I know what it's like playing with really tough win conditions, as does a lot of people. I mean, you just kind of have to try everything out of the book, but having it being so close just kind of kick to the guts when it's just not really going in your favor. But regardless, we are going to be following up here. Cole just trying to force locker there. He's going to be going down ultimately, and then we're catching out Chuck, who's forced all the way into 2. He's going to be greeting this 2 filler pallet here very nicely, dodging the dream snare as well, and going to be faking another vault, but not falling for anything of the sort. On the side of Monk, he's going to be eating that tag, running all the way down into Shaq, where there's nothing really to be working with. That pallet is that was a very ambitious proc of the pallet there, but we do have Shaq pallet still up, and we've opted to leave this on the side of Monk, going back to the Gallows generator there, just trying to play the mind games, but counteracting it very nicely on the side of Chuck, but getting caught at the corner spot of the lockers there. Is now faking the window, but does have access to the pallet there, so he is safe. He's going to be pre-dropping that too. We do see in the background that Cold is still on the floor, which leads me to believe, what is Daihao and Pepsi doing? I think, yeah, one of them's gone for the pickup. One of them's probably just kind of caught out of position at the moment, or maybe they're just working at a generator and the spectator is currently bugged at the moment. As we do take a medium vault on the side of Chuck, he's going to extend our chase a little bit longer, and he's done really well to last here, even with Shaq Pallet out of the way, out of the question, out of the blue. He's now going to make another vault there, and Monk is just getting a little bit too antsy. I mean, he's going for all these swings, and it's almost heartbreaking in a sense. We do get a little bit of a killer instinct proc here all the way in corner 1, so I think the survivors are in a good position for outs here now, with everything considered. We do vault the pallet here over at 2. This is going to be life down 3. No, maybe even just wrap around to 1 even. Take your pick. I mean, you have so many options at the moment, and all these pallets are left on the floor because Monk didn't really have a lot of time to break them. He was playing around them very nicely. Oh my god, that's disgusting. That is diabolical. I don't even know how the distance makes that. I was unaware, but I mean, yeah, he didn't have a lot of time to break the pallets. He was playing around them very well to get his downs quickly and efficiently, but ultimately it leaves everything on the floor and to the survivor's use, which can sometimes come back to, once again, hurt you in the long run. And Monk now going back on gen patrol here with the last 3 generators in the trial. We do have 8, 4, and 8, 3, and I'm not too sure where the other one is. We have caught out the reset here over at 6. This will be the chase back onto Chuck here, who, yeah, has played an incredible game for what it's worth. Is going to get the stun, but is going to be making all the way down into the courage pallet here. You know, our final resource is really being used. Actually, no, we've already thrown it. Oh no, we've already thrown it, but we're playing around it, ultimately going down. This will be chuck out of the game if we opt to take this hook here. If we get slugging with it, maybe we can slug everybody at the same time. I want to get a quick rotation onto our survivors if we are a spectator real quick to see what the game plan is here. Doubling main is questionable. Sorry, mid questionable. We do have 12 just kind of been worked in the distance. Pepsi preemptively leaving and going to Shaq as if we're playing for the pool here. But Chase going back onto Daihao at the backside of main here. And this is just kind of, we're stretching the match out just a little bit now, but we're really trying to get these outs on the side of our survivors. Monk really not giving up easy, though. He's going to commit here. And when, you know, if he gets quick down onto Daihao, this can just spell the 4K1. And this chase kind of really tells that story. I mean, we've opted to leave here and catch somebody else out off guard. I mean, ideally, you'll either want Pepsi or Daihao in chase in a time like this because they're both death hook. You know, if you down cold, I'm sure you can get a pain resonance proc for what it's worth. That could help you and aid you, but you really want somebody out of the trial at the moment to, you know, chop it down to the 2 survivors versus 1 killer at 1 gen remaining, and you know that kind of just, you know, chops everything up to the 4K1. But again, survivors playing on the back foot, not giving it up easy, playing aggressive when needed to, very attentive on the communications, and I do like that. We are trying to really bait them out, though, on the side of Monk. But again, the pre-leaves are just absolutely incredible. They're adequate, and it's just making for such a rough game for Monk to really get back into his grasp. And we do see a medium vault there from Pepsi leading into, again, another pallet here over at 5. So all the strong filler pallets, sorry, are still on the map there. Winning the 50 once on the side of Pepsi, but ultimately getting a little too greedy. He's going to be going down. That's going to be the eruption proc in the background. But we're slugging from Monk. Very scared about that middle generator, and rightfully so. I think it's about 70% at the moment. But we even have 12 just going off its chops. I'm not too sure if we've caught on the side of Monk here. We've opted to go all the way back and get the next final stage onto Pepsi there, and ultimately that is going to be a 4K0 and potentially outs. Now, where do we go from here as we do take an unfortunate spectator bug? We see Daihao and Cold split up the pressure here. A gate over at 11, and I do believe a gate more towards that 8 portion of the, no, it's more towards 5, okay? So, you know, one survivor going one way, one going the other. Not too sure. Does he have access to his teleportation when it's in endgame? He does, Chief, doesn't he? Or does he not?
He does.
He does, okay.
You can teleport, but unfortunately, your teleport is on quite a long cooldown, so even if he is to make it to one of the gates, he can't really teleport back to the other all too quickly. Monk's best bet right now is obviously to find Cold, to get as many stages as possible. He's done exactly that. Luckily, he won that little 50 of making it to the right gate and wins another 50 right there to get him down. So that will be 11 stages, the maximum amount you can collect without out the door. All in all, I don't think that result really tells the full story. This is one we're probably going to look back on when the season comes to an end and look at the result and be like, wow, that was a pretty dominant display from Kratos. And obviously, more credit to us later. It really was a dominant display from him, but I don't think the full story will be told on paper. You really do need to look at this one as it happened and realize that there was a real possibility for Monk to even win that, let alone meet the Tycon. And you know, I think it really came down to those early decisions. That very quick down to Chuck using his add-ons, like I said, Unicorn and Wolf Shirt, were expertly used to get that down at 1. Knowing that that is a guaranteed hit if they play to the top side around that pallet is lovely stuff. And you saw Monk use it multiple times in that trial. He got 2 downs with it, and yeah, it worked beautifully. It was exactly what you needed to get yourself rolling. It was just unfortunate that because such of the state of the game with this such high win con that he really did need to play hit and run so much, a bit too much if you're really playing for that standard good result. Obviously, 11 stages by no means is a bad result on this killer. I actually believe it's still a pretty good result. In most situations, it's enough to win a set. I truly believe that Monk had done more than enough if they were playing killer first to be able to take that. And obviously, I also think if he was playing killer first and was setting that win con, he wouldn't have had to have played that hit and run, leaving the 4v1 out as long as possible. Could have gotten a tunnel out going and maybe would have been able to 4k1, 4k2 himself. It would have been lovely to see if the win con wasn't so difficult. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and we did have to play very, very aggressive at all times. And, you know, we really did get a lot from that. We got those early tags. We had Sloppy Butcher to deny the resets, and we kind of snowballed off of that. You know, we got our downs, we used our teleports well to deny gens from popping. We got our pain reses off. We had eruption going off on the gens at all times. Nothing like machine learning like we saw from Oscillator, but once again, you had Sloppy Butcher to slow down those resets when you got those free tags from your teleports and whatever as you strayed and played hit and run around the map. But it just wasn't enough, and that is really, really unfortunate. Because, like I said, at one point, especially when we just had seen that gen pop to make it the Tycon 4K3, it really looked like he could have done it. You pointed out that there was a chance if we were to able to get that down before our survivor had made it main and we had denied the pull at back main as well. The 4K3 was really on Hunter. Unfortunately, that isn't what ended up happening. We did end up being able to recover that situation, but I mean, hey, it's a damn good effort from Monk. And unfortunately for him, you know, he is returning to playing killer and playing on a team the first time this season tonight. And it's definitely not the start you want a player to return to. And you have to feel a bit bad for him to be thrown into a situation like that first thing off the bat.
Heartbreaking. Yeah, you know, knowing Monk for a long time, I know he definitely, honestly, he still should be proud of himself for pulling up that result. I can't lie. But regardless, what that means now is a tie and a loss. SAF can only really take home a tie. They can't take home a win here. And for Kratos, they will obviously have to take away this set to take away the win. And that will, I'm not too sure if that'll do anything to their ladder position at the moment. We'll have to wait and see in regards to what happens with the future matches and whatnot. But that being said, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick and short intermission while we get this next set up for you guys. It is going to be Plague on Suffocation Pit 1. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick and short break. And welcome back, everyone, to SAF vs Kratos, where we're going to be seeing the tiebreaker, which is Plague on Suffocation Pit 1. If you didn't see the sets just beforehand, it was a tie on the Mastermind, which was 4K1 apiece. And then we had just seen Kratos take away the Nightmare game 4K3 to 11 stages. Now, what can we expect out of the Plague game here? It is going to be Cash on Plague, you know, very renowned on the Plague. Definitely loves this projectile killer, or this mid-range, melee ranged killer. He's going to be taking ground here over at the mid side of the map. We do see a rotation here over at 8 for a very quick chase into the corrupted zone if we opt to chase this on the side of Cash, and it is going to be happening momentarily as we see, yes, just a little bit of aggro here from the other survivors trying to haul us back to the top side of the map as we do get a nice infection there on the top of the hill. This is going to be Daihao just in chase at the bottom section of the map. We do have this nice filler pallet here, but we're opting to greet it very nicely. Now we're going to have to try and break away from this short filler because we're going to be getting infected pretty quickly, or at least we have to win the pallet stun or some sort, because this is very short, very not a pallet that you want to be really chasing around there. Some more infection work there coming in from Cash, and we are forced to use this bottom filler here, which is an R&L war, never drop pallet, just ahead of us if we opt to use it there. The quick and quiet coming in from that window vault there, and we do have smash hit here if we opt to get that stun there, but we don't, because Cash plays very nicely amongst just the outside of the pallet, not to be getting hit with it. Ultimately goes for a little bit of an extendo lunge. It is going to have the pallet once then slapped in his face for the smash hit proc. That's going to allow Daihao to make all the way down to the top side of the map, where we interrupt 3 here, and 4's being worked as well. Thought we were a little bit more further deep into the pocket of top side. Nevertheless, we will be taking chase onto one of these survivors who have split off momentarily. He's going to be cold in chase now here, getting slapped through the filler pallet over at corner 5, just kind of zoned off into 3 here. We are going to be trying to use mid to the best of our ability, and it is quite a strong portion of the map to take control of on the side of our survivors, but definitely not somewhere where you want to be going down. And as it is interrupting 3 here, we do see Chuck in chase is going to be using the pallet gym to the best of his ability. Not quite getting the stun. We've greeted it very nicely on the side of Cash there, but has double backed, and at the right time we've held the correct check spot from Chuck, now zoned off into top, and we're not going to be chasing this. We're going to elect to go for Cold, who's just out of position here over at 10. It doesn't really have a lot to work with. Look at this, like, really mean short filler there. And we've opted to leave once more. You know, Cash a little bit worried about being territorial amongst his generators here. We do see 12 being worked by Daihao, just kind of sitting at there. Our broken survivor there, our only hooked survivor, rather. Oh, no, hook, not hooked. Dude, it was only a first gen. No, we haven't gotten a hook just just yet. My God. Yeah, well, this is already spelling trouble at the beginning of the game here for Cash. These survivors playing absolutely incredible. And we do see, yeah, that progression once again happening over at 3. We do see a disturbed Crow off in the distance, meaning Pepsi is somewhere to be found. And he is over in the edge map there, but we haven't caught glimpse of it from Cash. He is just going to be leaving that area entirely. That's going to be 12 procking in the background and a force chase from Chuck over to the main building. Catch not falling for any of it, really wants that survivor rotating after the pop there, but doesn't manage to catch glimpse of them. Yeah, Diehouse just evaded everything. Our 2 survivors here over at the 2 portion of the map, Catch back over towards 8. Doesn't really give a damn about 3 at the moment, so he's maybe in his best interest to hold these bot side gens. You do have access to 5, Shaq, and 8. We do spot out Cold here, just making a really aggressive rotation. We do have access to this pallet here over at this mid 5 to 6 portion. As we do take the pre-drop there, we are going to be using the logs to the best of our abilities. Catch following up the chase here, does really want this down quickly and imminently as possible. Is going to be opting to chase mid here though. And as I'd said a little bit earlier, Chief, this can be pretty detrimental. You know, what, 2 generators done, a gen on the way, maybe 1 even being started in the background as well. It doesn't really matter if everybody's injured. They're just not going to opt to cleanse because we don't want to be giving any unnecessary blood pools. You know, the only one that we have on the map is just completely out of our way.
Yeah, Hunter, I want to point out there are a few things that obviously have already occurred in this game, but I feel like they are very important that they need to be discussed in retrospect. Obviously, Johnny didn't waste any time setting up top. He didn't apply any infections or vomit to anything at all. He identified his 4 gen, nearly a 5 gen bottom with his gen at 3, and he headed right to there. He thought things were all fine and dandy when he was able to chase bottom and force the survivor to the bottom side of the map, but things just really didn't work out for him. As you saw, that 4 gen on the bottom side was broken by a triple on 4. The survivor who was originally working 3 saw that Johnny had left chase and decided to go in triple to make sure it would pop, and that was masterful. It is exactly why we're in such a predicament right now for our killer. I mean, hey, 3 gens have popped and we still haven't gotten a single hook. We've only gotten infect injures. We haven't managed to swing our weapon to get a hit yet. And, you know, to be fair, it is Plague on Suffer 1 that isn't too unexpected, but as the 4th gen does pop, I dare say we're reaching the regions of big problemas. I mean, you can't really allow this to happen, and unfortunately the position we find ourselves yet again in is our survivor who is not infected is running all the way to topside. Obviously, you kind of need 1 survivor to be left uninfected, so I'm sure, as you see there, yeah, it is Chuck all the way at 1, rotating to get his sickness cleansed, and that's so far out of the way now that Johnny's never going to be able to rotate up there to get his red vomit, but fortunately for him, he does have the 1 bot mid. He has that 1 all the way at 5 as well that we're able to spot out, which is why he chose to play around the bottom gens even more so. Your vomits gave you so much access to defend your 4 gen, and I mean, hey, that gen popping for the first chase and realistically not even it being a down, just an injure and having to leave it is so problematic. And as soon as you gave up 3 as well, as we saw happen a bit later on, I mean, Cash kind of needed to be a bit more aggressive a bit earlier, allow maybe this 4 gen to go, flip the map, play for the gen's top side, even if he was able to get it down there, which he just wasn't able to do. I mean, they weren't great, so even if he was able to do that, I don't think he would have been able to get the result he's looking for right now. But I mean, hey, anything would be better than this right now. You know, 0 stages. We're being forced to grab a red vomit with nobody unhooked, no stages so far. We're using this to try and snowball and get sluggy, I would assume, so we can potentially secure as many stages as possible. But I think Johnny is a bit too worried about everything else going on in the match. You know, we had to spend a lot of time bottom even after we get that. Unfortunately for Pepsi, he was caught out all the way edge 8. That will be him on the ground. We didn't even need to spew that with just an M1 down. It's finally our first hook and potentially a pain res, but look at the RNG, Hunter. There's none nearby. We're having to take this hook 7. Our closest pain res is all the way at 5, and the rest of them are top side. So we're not even going to be able to get much regression on the gen at 5 for this hook. And if our survivors now play slow, we don't even need to worry about Pepsi on the hook all too much. Excuse me, he can end up dying on that hook, and I don't think the position is bad at all, but I mean, hey, yeah, you really just need to get things rolling. Our Vomit is about to run out, and Johnny has strayed so far topside that the Unhook's going to come in for free. We're actually heading topside to grab yet our other Vomit. That's our second that naturally spawned on the map of 3, as we have a double apple to give us an extra 2 pools and longer infection time on resources, which we didn't even see at all. But you did just see there, Pepsi was absolutely sniped by that Vomit, and he's going to have to play around Shaq for his life here. If we're able to get a quick down, we could potentially get the snowball we are looking for if you are Johnny. Playing a bit of a cheeky mind game here, but I think we might have lost ourselves in the source. Pepsi's held an interesting check spot on the door, and it's paid off in spades. We're going to win this vault. No, we're not. Never mind. J Cash Net strikes again. That's him getting down through the window. Head on is close by. We've baited it, though. We did get the hit. That was very confusing. I don't know what just occurred. The sound was so delayed for me. I thought we somehow missed that, but yeah, that is the down, and this Gen 5 is being doubled. We're finally going to be able to hook on top of it. It will be our pain res, and I mean, this is where, once again, the game sort of looks like it's recoverable for Cash right now, Hunter. All he needs to do now, I would say, is get this tunnel out, or at least this hook secured, maybe get another fresh or 2, aim for that 6 stages, and I think, all things considered, it's a recovered result.
It definitely can be. He just needs to know where everybody is at all times. He knows where 2 survivors are currently. Chuck's rotated back down to where all the gens are. We opted to get our power as well, so we're going all the way back down to 5. Chuck playing extra safe now around the 3 tile. We do see the unhook happen in the background. Call on to Pepsi. Daihao just really playing aggro on that 8 generator. Can come back to bite him in the ass. Oh my god, hang on a second. Whoa! There's no way we dodged that. It's crazy. And you love to see that. But we are going to be greeting this filler rock here. This, yeah, you haven't seen one of these in a long time, goddamn. But we are going to be opting to leave on the side of Cash. Now, if you did pay attention to the windows of opportunity procs from Pepsi whilst in chase, you'll realize that there's only about 2 or 3 pallets left on the bottom side of the map here. I mean, you know, you have access to mid 8 and this one over at 4, I do believe. So, you know, you got to be careful not to use all your resources too quickly, as we do take a tag there onto Cold. Cold now going to be greeting that pallet there. Gets tagged again. We do have somebody ready for the pallet save here. Does Chuck get it in time? We've opted to slug. He's playing aggressive, and all while in the meantime, no way we get the save. Oh, it's diabolical, and the pop in Cash's face over at 8. No, it's not what we needed. Oh, not the DC, and that will be that. My god. Yeah, obviously you'll have a minus deduction for the DC, so it'll be one and a half stages. Sometimes the pressure does get a little bit to you. I do understand sometimes that, you know, obviously with a result like that, and just it happens to the best of us, in all honesty. I mean, you have to obviously be a little bit give a little bit of leeway for emotion sometimes and whatnot. But what I think we'll do is we'll take a quick and short intermission. We'll be back with you guys with the second half of the set, so don't go anywhere. Again, we'll be right back after a quick short break.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are continuing the Plague set. Sorry for taking a little bit of time. Obviously, some external circumstances did occur in that downtime, and I do apologize for that, but we are able and willing to play out the rest of the set. Obviously, might be a bit of a quick one to meet that win con. It is only 2 stages for our killer to win. Unfortunate for our survivors, you know, definitely not the killer performance you wanted to see from SAF, but Oscillator now is ready to step up and see if he can get it done. And honestly, Hunter, I do want to point out that I think he's already in a pretty decent spot to do so. He's setting up topside. He's playing a bit slower than what we saw from SAF's killer. And I mean, hey, this is going to probably be some pretty basic Plague gameplay. All we can hope for now is a good showing to round out the set.
Yeah, definitely. And as we do take ground here over at the bottom side of the map, the boys playing the stealth very nicely, as we do just vomit on everything around us, pallets, generators and whatnot, uncorrupted generators. We do see here, actually no, there's no corrupt brought in. My god, okay. No, I've been bamboozled a little bit. It is Thanatophobia, Pain Resonance, Wretched Fate, and I did not get to see the last perk. I would assume it was Eruption. Yes. As far as Apple and Amulet for add-ons, well, I think that's Amulet. I'm not too sure what that second add-on is. I didn't really quite get a glimpse, and I don't know Plague add-ons too well, but regardless, Oscillator back at the top side here now, really trying to sniff out who is up and about, and the boys can kind of just spread apart here. work separate generators in a 4-split fashion, because there's no corrupt to really penalize them for not doing so. And regardless, we are going to be taking the first chase onto Spacey here, who has been caught momentarily with the vomit just by beasting there. Now greeting the pallet here back into the midsection of the map where we've access to a T and L oscillator. Now, after having that infection, probably isn't even going to bother chasing this, is going to maybe drop it. No, he has opted to chase all the way down to the bottom side, or just divert entirely and try to catch someone out here over at 8, but I don't think we've really caught out who it is, and it is Cash. Yeah, he's just kind of stealthing around the edge map. Your killer from last game is found, unfortunately. I think we'll just maybe hurt him over in the distance or something, or even just, I don't know, maybe our killer instinct coming in to aid us. But playing very nicely around the LOS breakage and a nice FOV tech, but will result in a tag, is just kind of forced here over into the shack building here. Grabbing the red vomit to try and make this this down a little bit easier, a little bit quicker on the side of Oscillator, but after that, maybe he's just going to go and play tags amongst other survivors who are working the generators at the moment, go on gen patrol and whatnot. So the survivors probably want to be stealthing out the power here. We do have access to about, I want to say, is it like a minute or something? I don't know. It's pretty long regardless. I want to be stealthing out it whole entirely, and unfortunately we've caught Addict here injured and whatnot, and just with a full charged red vomit, it's just going to be so hard to evade that without breaking your line of sight at a very short filler, and you hate to see it. This will be the first pain resonance of the game. This will be one step closer to the win condition, where we only need one more stage, so hypothetically we could just camp this out, and that will be that for Oscillator, a really quick set. But maybe we can go for a quick sneaky pull and have just an absolutely generational chase, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously the first stage is still a loss for Oscillator. He would need to collect 2 to secure the win. The DC did incur a minor penalty, meaning that there is no tie condition left in the match. But, you know, with the setup we have some gens topside. The hook is all the way deep top. We're getting our vomit around now, and no gens have popped. It's going to be very, very difficult. And, you know, obviously we have 2 survivors fresh at least, but a power topside means that a trade isn't really doable. Or sorry, getting the hook for free isn't really doable, and it would incur a trade, which would also be the loss. And I think Oscillator has just caught onto somebody here. Yeah, he has. It was Cash. He's on this rock. He's going to be able to greet it quite nicely, crouching on the pallet to deny a tag, using the SB now to play around it nicely as well, preventing this tag for as long as possible. And you see him greeting this pallet now. This is something we did see in the other match as well. He's trying to get that stun because that does end the corrupt purge immediately. Unfortunately, Johnny did drop the pallet a bit too early, and it meant he would incur a tag. That was also the first gen popping. The wretched fate that we did see immediately pop up for that pallet, for that gen popping was cleansed, and unfortunately for Monkey, he's been caught out on main as well. That will be him on the ground. Our win has been secured, and yeah, that was a very quick game, Hunter. We're going to get a pain res off this as well, so the gen at main will be hit by that. But fortunately, we did, in the background, get Addict off the hook. Cash is here. The red vomit has run out, so we won't be able to snowball off of him being so close topside, but with not a lot of resources left, we have this pallet over at deep 10 to play around, and with his movement now being caught out, we just barely unable to connect on that swing. We dumb tech him as well. Beautiful stuff. A little bit of a flare recovery from the man who wasn't too happy moments ago. I'm sure he's feeling a little bit better after that, and, you know, putting on a bit of a show to close us out despite the fact the set is gone and dusted.
Yeah, I mean, some nice micro work there over at 10, but ultimately, like you had said, it is the win for Kratos, taking it home 2-0 entirely for the series, and Cash playing very aggressive. Isn't going to be going down there. We've missed the swing, which is diabolical, but we've opted to go back to the hook here over at this top side, and Oscillator can kind of hold this. He knows that, you know, the survivors aren't really going to be able to pull this without being punished for it. You do have 3 survivors in the trial injured, one of them infected. It is Spacey working the only generator, and I do believe that is the mid 10 one that you see off in the far distance. Oscillator now can pressure this after the second stage, is just really securing it. He knows somebody is nearby. It is Addict, who is just kind of stealth around that pallet on the outside of main. Now has another one, the coal bucket here, greeting it very nicely. That's going to be Monk in the background hitting second, and the boys in the background probably just want to be slamming out generators at a point in time like this. The smash hit coming in from Addict is going to allow him to make all the way to the middle side of the map, but we have gotten the pull in the background there via Cash onto Monk there. So that'll be the second generator of the trial procking, as Oscillator does take the chase here on the backside of main. It is Monk in chase again, who is our only Death Hook survivor. And he is going to be making all the way down to 11, but doesn't really have much to go on as we are cutting him off. We do eventually make around the long wall, creating the window there, making the pallet as well, but ultimately trying to get that stun, not quite working out in our favor. A little bit too smart for it on the side of Oscillator. We're zoned off into top, but we've opted to sacrifice a little bit of distance to make this T and L war in the mid section of the map, vaulting it once and winning that first 50. And now is Monk going to be able to play accordingly and try to just evade the last inevitable down? So yeah, unfortunately, does not make that pallet over at 3, but does go for a little bit of a cheeky wave me down tech to try and get that pallet save if anybody is nearby. We do see some scratch marks leading over into the top side of the map. It is Cash playing extra aggressive for this pallet save here, and I don't blame him for doing so. You know, he wants to put on a show for the people. This is going to be a quick beamer save, and 1, 2, 3, bam. He is definitely getting clippy today, unfortunately. It doesn't mean much in the end, but we will be slapping the pallet in the killer's face as well. Oscillator playing around the R and L wall, unfortunately losing every single 50, getting the pallet slapped in our face again. So, you know, everything that is worth, he's putting on an absolute performance on the side of Cash, now vaulting the L wall back into 3, and we've gotten a little bit lost in the sauce there from our killer, who's just, you know, kind of pushed off over to the distance over at 10. Cash now just on the back foot here as we do see him rotate for the cleanse, and we've just downed Addict in the background. I'm not too sure what's happening, Mr. Spectator. If we can get a quick switch around, we have managed to catch someone out over at that top side. They were working 10 just moments ago as we take this non-paid resonance hook. We are going to be taking an eruption kick onto this generator sitting over here at 10. So it's rendered a little bit obsolete currently for this point in time. We do see all the generators at the bottom side have been popped, so we got to be working these 3 and bottom mid gens if we're not working top, because my god, if we look at the gen spread here, it's 5 generators all at the top side of the map, which can prove to be extremely detrimental as we do take some infection rate on these generators here, taking eruption proc kicks. We do see a double in the background before getting the hook. I do believe that is on 10 as Monk has baited out Chase at the bottom side here. And one of them preemptively leaving to get the unhook as soon as possible. It was 2 that was being doubled, okay? It was never 11 for some reason. No, 10, sorry. I thought it was 10 for some reason, but regardless, Oscillator's just going to park up bus here, park the bus and whatnot, and just try and secure this last dying stage onto Attic. So they can definitely pull some outs here on the side of our survivors. Monk just kind of stuck over at the bottom side. We do manage to get the pull for free on the side of Cash, and now an imminent body block coming in from Addict. You know, he's on borrowed time, though, unfortunately, doesn't have a lot of it, is going to make this window, and unfortunately, with the extra 15 seconds, that is just going to be an endurance tag, and that's going to give him the speed boost he needs to make all the way down to the mid portion of the map, where it's this LNT, and when you have an LNT over in mid, this can be crucial for the killer if we're not careful, and I think maybe we're just going to leave this up to Chase Monk here over at the bottom side of the map. He might actually make this stun. Yeah, definitely does. No ping hit coming in there today. He's going to be breaking this pallet on the side of Oscillator and now forced back into the R and L, where we don't really have a lot to go on after this, but we are running all the way into corner 5, and we're committing the chase from Oscillator. Up on the top with a good vantage point, up on top of the rock with a good vantage point, trying to get that balance proc, but ultimately going down just before the pallet on the side of Monk. This will be him out of the trial, but this will be Spacey committing the generator over at, I think it's 10. I want to say this one is 10, and this will be, you know, the 4K1 at the very worst. So what do the boys have to do here? Well, with Red Vomit in hand, we need a cleanse, and we want to do that as far as possible from these last 3 generators. We do see, yes, 10 breaking up that 3 gen, but unfortunately the 3 gen still remains over at the top side. It is 3 top mid and more towards 11. So even though it's a little bit more fast spread than the current, the previous 3 gen, it is still pretty holdable for our killer. You can just kind of guess that this will be the 4K one, but you really want to see after the matches that they've had SAF that they will be taking away this these outs if played carefully. So we do have 5 stages as it currently stands. We are going to be taking chase to somebody over at main, but unfortunately not committing it, going for some pallet breaks here. And Chief, what are your thoughts? What are your predictions at the moment?
You know, you talk about this 3 gen and how it's going to be pretty easy to hold. I need to point out, once we do run out of this power, and we are doing that very, very shortly now, it's going to be a bit problematic, honestly. The killer, the plague, you know, is kind of the fat and slow walk around M1 lady. So she doesn't really enjoy gens being that far away. Although with Vomit, it does make it a bit easier. He has been able to collect another Vomit at 7. So maybe the gens are going to be a bit holdable. We see Spacey having been on one already. It's 25%. Addict has been caught out on the bottom side of the map. If he goes down quickly, it would force a 2v1, and I dare say that would secure the 4K1 immediately. Unfortunately, yeah, the Jiggy was not on there. That will be Addict out of the trial. So the 4K1 is all but secured. Cash lurking once more. Wanted another save for this game. He wasn't able to do it in time, but look, Spacey's sitting as gen. It's 50%, and you got to kind of really play strategic and careful now as we head into a 2v1 if we want to see this gen pop. Spacey's pre-left. He's taken his distance. He's going to play around main. That's what you have to do against this killer. You got to play your strong, big resources and hold your distance. So that's what we're aiming to do now. Spacey using the main window to its fullest, holding distance, not entering chase for as long as possible, and will do so until he gets in chase and runs out of... Why is Johnny here?
I'm not too
Interesting.
sure.
we've appeared in the middle of the chase. I guess he wanted to have some fun and get in on the action himself. I think he might be playing to not touch a gen all game, which, you know, with the win con, he wants to have a bit of fun, and also playing for saves is what's going to help you get towards that one stage win con. Unfortunately, didn't pay off. We are at 6 stages with the potential of a 7th coming out if Spacey is to go down, but he's greeting this pallet quite nicely. He's going to make it once again. Never mind, I lied. I forgot there's 130 ping on the cards. Cash is cleansing in the background, so that will get him uninfected. There's no red vomit to play around. We're trying to bait out a swing with our SB. We've not done so just yet, so our final chase of the game comes out as we hit a medium vault back into Shaq. Spacey's still down on the pallet, so maybe we can do something nice there until we are infected and have to be a bit more careful. But Hunter, 4K1, especially on ping with everything else considered, isn't the worst result, but very, very clearly was not enough for us to take the set. So that will mean Kratos are able to take the match 2-0 after all is said and done. A valiant effort, all things considered. I think, once again, you know, it's very clear that the mental of SAF was kind of deteriorating after the 4K3. I think they were probably feeling the pain and anguish of that loss being so one-sided, but truly, like I said a bit earlier in the day, I think we're going to look back at this on paper and realize that the game was a lot closer than it seemed for the most part. Obviously, I think the Plague set is unbelievably one-sided, but, you know, I think the Plague set probably plays out a fair bit differently if the result on Freddy is that little bit closer, or hell, even a win for SAF. Maybe if they were able to secure as well, getting that tie probably didn't help any bit either. But either way, once again, that is the 2-0 to Kratos. Congratulations to them. I think that might be securing them their spot in finals. I'm not too sure. I'll take a look at our ladder. They're currently 4th. A win will move them up to being equal second with SAF actually as well. They actually will overtake and be second on tiebreaker. So congratulations to them. I do, in fact, believe that is their safety secured in the top 5. So we will be seeing them head towards finals after that result. And yeah, I mean, with that all said and done, Hunter, we have 2 more matches to look forward to tonight, and I'm sure you're excited to see those. So as we get those set up, I'm sure you're probably looking for a bit of an intermission. I'm going to need a bit of a break to grab some water. So as I do that, I hope you in the chat will do the same. Go grab your water. We're in for the long haul tonight. Stay with us, and we will be back very, very shortly.